Hey, writers. I just got done recording an episode of a podcast and it sparked a lot of thoughts, and I want to share them with you around consistency, making peace with consistency in your content creation, and also a bit of a meta experience about being on a podcast and being interviewed. So, let me actually start with that. Um, the big lesson for me that I know and that I was reminded of in a truly amazing and energizing conversation this morning with uh, a coach I adore and somebody I'm really excited for you to get to know more when the podcast episode is out, and I will be sharing that. Um, Lost my train of thought. I don't remember how I started that sentence. Okay, yeah, a lesson that I was reminded of again was the more you talk about what you do, the more you clarify what you do. Now, if podcasts are your jam, brilliant. Then it's you're creating content as you're also sparking ideas for, more things you want to share. If you're like, that doesn't feel comfortable for me, or that's not where my priorities are, or whatever, if it's not a fit for you in your business, totally cool. Talk about what you do with other people. Have conversations. Start conversations, engage in conversations, answer questions when other people are asking them, and start those conversations so you get to say what you do, not with the intention of giving your elevator pitch that's super polished and you're selling people. In fact, that won't help with this exercise, because the whole point is speak organically about what you do so that you listen to yourself and you're like, oh, holy fuck, yeah, that's the thing I do, that's what's really valuable, that's how I want to be sharing about my work. Okay. For those of you who are in coaching, for those of you who have this mission and this passion and this compassion, when you start sharing about your work, about your soul's purpose, about the reason you came to this planet at this time right now in this human suit, you're going to get so fired up and you're going to speak really naturally. And if you can just capture that, if you're chatting with somebody online and you're writing it, boom, it's captured. Or if you just want to talk it out and you record it on your phone, boom, it's captured. If you do it in a podcast, boom, it's captured, right? So get yourself into this natural state of talking, having a conversation with either yourself or somebody else or your guides, or like you're imagining what you want to say to your in coaching sessions with clients. I do an exercise where I channel their, it's not an exercise, I do an experience where I channel their soul clients and they get to speak directly to them, and the session is recorded, and it's like, oh, that's exactly what I want to be sharing. Have conversations and talk about what you're doing. It's going to help new levels break through. So that's the meta part, the bigger part I wanted to share, because I'm all fired up, and um there's a fluidity to talking in particular for me. It really helps me to get my ideas out. But we all process differently. We all have different brain wiring. So for you, it might be typing or writing out by hand, but have conversations with people. All right, so that's the meta piece. Now I want to talk about consistency, because this is one of the topics that came up as we were chatting. And once we finished, I was like, oh, there's some deeper things to go into. Like what we ended up talking about in consistency and what I said in the podcast recording already, I was like, damn, I'd never put that in words before, and I'm really excited to be able to share that. So this is not about, oh, I wish I'd said this and regrets or anything like that. Like what I said and what was captured, I was like, oh, yeah, that's people need to hear that. Like that's really juicy. That's stuff that was brought out of me by virtue of having this conversation with this really fabulous human. Um, and then in addition, I kept having more thoughts. Like we wrapped and I went and poured myself some tea and was like, whoa, there's more here I want to say about consistency. So I'm going to share it with you. Oh, perk of being in Write and Flow. All right. So when we say we want to be consistent, my hypothesis, what I'm putting to you, is that really what we want in our content is to be effectual. Are you with me? Does this sound true for you? We want to be effective. We're like, I want the writing I'm doing to fulfill my purpose. And what we've been taught, either explicitly or implicitly, is that effective content creation is consistent. And there are a lot of pieces that flow into this. Some of them make more rational sense than others. Does it make rational sense that in a platform where content has a very short shelf life, the people who are regularly showing up are going to be more seen? Yeah, that does make more sense. That does make sense, right? But then there are parts that don't make sense. Like, I have to show up every day because, dude, this gets deep. Y'all, this gets deep. I have to show up, and maybe it's not every day, but let's just use the word consistently because that means something different for all of us, which is something else I also want to talk about. I have to show up consistently because that's what a responsible business owner does, or a good business owner, or a successful, or a wealthy, or like insert whatever adjective there that naturally comes up for you. And what you're going to find is that there's a coupling that's happened. Hey, Brooke, great to see you live. There's a coupling that's happened where we have made consistency not mean what is effective, not mean, oh, what's actually going to start conversations or bring clients into my program or, help me connect with the people I want to connect with, but a value judgment. If I am consistent, that means I am right, or I am good, or I am worthy, or I am whatever it is. So just take a moment and have that honest listening with yourself. What am I making consistency mean? What value judgment am I putting onto consistency? And do you like it? Is it true? Do you want to believe that? Let's start unraveling this. Let's start decoupling these things. Because I think so many of us equate consistency and responsibility. Or if I were or maybe it's even something like, we don't know what the reason is. It becomes the scapegoat. Like, we don't know what the reason is why we're not getting traction, or why we're not having the level of success we want, however you define success for yourself. Or we're not, filling our programs, and we're looking for what is that thing. And we're like, oh, it's because I'm not posting as often as I should be. It's because I'm not being consistent. So consistency can be like the stick you beat yourself with. I know I just called it the scapegoat. So I don't know. Is it the tool of hurting somebody else, or is it the thing that's getting blamed and hurt? I don't know. So often those are the same thing, right? We create this fraught relationship where we're looking for something to blame ourselves about, right? There's so much development that goes on with oh, Connie, good. I'm glad that's resonating for you. I mean, I'm not glad you feel that way, but yeah, right? It's this is some deep shit. So what if we stop looking for the thing to beat ourselves up about? And this is going to be, just one more step in our personal development, because really we all know running a business is just the way of self-actualizing, right? Like, when you run a business, you come up against all your shadow, all your bullshit, all your beliefs that have been holding you back, all your baggage, and you have the opportunity to set it down, move through it, evolve past it, love it until it's no longer a problem, however you talk about it. So let's do that. Let's stop beating ourselves up about consistency, and then let's start asking, what is effective? What is effectual? And one of my brilliant, amazing mentors, Lady Skort, she blew my mind when she shared this with me. So I want to share this with you. The idea of consistency, we usually think what it means to be consistent is to be showing up at regular times. So some things do need to be consistent. Like, I need to consistently feed my cats. And that means morning and evening. It has to happen every day, and, around the same time every day. That is one kind of consistency. But your writing and your posting does not require that kind of consistency. And what Lais said that blew my mind in the best way was Megan, what if instead of consistency meaning it had to be every day or at the same time, on a regular schedule, what if you thought of consistency as, oh, always is a tricky word, but like, what if you thought of consistency as the intention to be showing up with your best energy? So just take this in for a second. Like, instead of I have to show up at these times no matter how I feel, no matter how stressed I am, no matter how much it's my inner winter or my inner fall and I want to be turned inward, no matter how much my kid was up with the flu and I'm really tired, what if you made consistency about doing whatever you need to so that you could show up with consistently delicious energy, even if it's not every day or not every Tuesday or whatever it is. Like, here's a great example. I have a time in a day that I do my lives, although I'm experimenting with moving it because I realized I've been going live in the afternoons and that's when my energy is really dipped. But I'm coming in live now because this is what is in my energy. Like, I just got done recording this podcast episode and I feel really excited and clear about what I want to share with you. So I'm not consistent in terms of a time or day, but my goal is to bring to you my best insights and energy and the consistency there. Okay. So, and Lace is in this group, by the way. So if you're like, I want to hear more about that, just tag her and we could start a whole conversation. But I loved when she shared that wisdom with me because I was like, yes, that's it. That's really what I want. And that feels so good. And if it is my job to show up with my best energy, then it means by definition, I am not forcing myself to show up at a regular day and time. And I am also not expecting that, and this part you have to, it's a corollary. I don't think it's obvious when we hear it, but I'm not expecting myself to always feel the same way. I'm not consistent in the sense that I'm always outgoing and ready to hop on a Facebook Live. Some days I'm like, I can't be bothered to change out of my pajamas and I'm gonna like spend the day doing what feels good to me. Not that I couldn't do it live in my pajamas, but there are so many times over the course of my internal cycle as a human, as a woman, where I'm like, nope, this is not when I want to put outward energy out there. Allow yourself that. A cycle is also consistent. Boom, right? Like, we're not like, oh my God, the moon is so unpredictable and erratic because sometimes it's full and sometimes it's new and sometimes it's a quarter. Like, it's on a cycle. You can start becoming aware of this. You can start becoming aware of your energy. And when are those times where you can kind of reliably predict that you're going to feel like writing, you're going to feel like creating content based on your schedule, your obligations to other people in your life, your internal cycle, your business cycle. Like, make that part of your writing process to start being self-aware and tracking when are the times when I feel like I can do this. And then when you're in that slump, when you're in that downward energy, instead of going, shit, I'm not being consistent, you're like, oh, no wonder. This is the time where, insert your personal reason here, I don't have as much energy for doing this, or I choose to put my energy into this thing over here instead of that thing, instead of creating content. And I know that then I'm going to come to that part of my cycle where I do have that desire to put my energy outward, to create, to write, to post, to go live, to, share reels, whatever it is. Like, a cycle is also consistent. Okay, I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. So yeah, those are my thoughts about consistency. Those are my thoughts about what we really mean when we say it. And something I did end up saying on the podcast that you'll get a sneak preview here is I just put it this way. Like, so many business owners experience consistency, this idea of consistency, as something that's chasing them, right? And I want to invite you to stop, turn around and actually look this thing in the eye. Like, look at consistency and just, even if you define it, what does that mean to me you are going to feel completely different in the way you relate to it. Because as long as it's this vague term and you're like, does that mean I have to post every day or every week? Or like, I don't even know what it means, but I need to be consistent. And so many of the clients I work with and so many of the clients in the trainings I do, they've got this feeling of like, I've got to be consistent. It's a question that comes up a lot in Q&As for the trainings I do. And they'll feel like, oh, I'm not being consistent, I've got to be consistent. And when we start to unpack it, it turns out that there isn't a really clear definition for them of what consistency means. And of course that feels terrifying, because it's just this vague sense of like, I'm not doing something I'm supposed to be doing. And yeah, that feels horrible. So stop, turn around, look that fucking beast in the eye and be like, who are you? What do you really mean? What does that mean to be consistent? And then create your own definition. And maybe you want to borrow from the definition I shared with you from Lise. Maybe you want to borrow from this idea of cycles. Like, I'm consistent in my cycles. That's where I am with my writing right now. I do not write every day. I know there are going to be times when I write and times when I don't write. And it's also not just left to chance. Like, I am aware of my cycles and I match that with my calendar, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I know that that's when I'm likely, it's not 100%, but that's when I'm likely to have my outward going energy. So that's when I plan to create my content. And then that's where I'm going to plan to share my content, because I'll also have that. So create your own definition of consistency. All right. I'm just feeling immense gratitude for all of you who are here in this group. And yeah, let me know how this strikes you, what thoughts you have, what your definition of consistency is. Where do you want to go from here with your definition of consistency? All right. And as always, I wish you very happy writing. Take care.